Hey guys, Encore Performance here with a new idea. We've all seen the masterpiece of pacifism done by T. West. It got me thinking of another approach. One is an Immortal, with no deaths. We'll be starting with our first campaign, El Cid. As we hop into it, we are given a single unit, also known as the main character of our story, El Cid Campeador. We must kill 2 units in a tournament to move on. After some boasting from the 200 swordsman, he falls to our blade. Next, we run over to King Sancho's castle to get a mount, then joust with a knight. An easy victory for an immortal such as our Cid. After this, we are given a decent-sized army with a few villagers to move out with. We must leave the army here to prevent any of them from being killed. Next, a few, such as the monks in the west and the serfs in the center of the map, join us in an attempt to become immortals such as ourselves. From here, we build a TC on the stone to secure enough for 2 castles. We then lure King Alfonso's army out into Yellow's Valley of Death filled with towers and castles. Just because we can't die doesn't mean we should get hurt. Instead, we do what we do most team games. We let our allies do all the hard work. After grabbing the 9 conquistadors we start with from the north, and the other 6 scattered around the map, we finish off what remains of Blue's armies. Our bullet holes just really tear through those snowmen like nothing. Next, we attempt a strategy unlike one of the Vipers or Heras, but instead the castle drop of Lord Doubt. After this, in a greedy maneuver, we use petards to capture the last relic on the map, and our hero to deal with the few missionaries our opponent has. Aha, we are already Christians, Donkey Man, which makes you powerless versus our Cid. By destroying Blue's monastery, we cut him off his only gold source other than the open mine in the north. Thanks to this, he may only throw trash against our castles. After building a few more castles, we head to our siege engineers to discuss our battle plan. Taking advantage of our ram and siege towers' high pierce armor, we are able to throw petards against his castle walls unharmed by using them as our bait, causing King Alfonso to switch his ally and come home to talk with his brother. From there, King Alfonso and El Cid make the long journey back to the tournament grounds, where we eventually trigger the victory condition. An easy start to our campaign after completing Mission 1 with no deaths. Next, we move on to Mission 2 of our campaign, the enemy of my enemy. In this campaign, we start with another large army that will be mostly useless, but if we place them up against the edge of the map to block Yellow's refugees, we now have 8 free villagers to convert. We then move our villagers out to wall our half the map to make sure we won't be raided. Luckily, this is very easy as there are only 3 main choke points. After this, we speak with Mohammed of the Moors, who is sitting at a well in the middle of nowhere. We all have those days. He directs us to the lake where we first meet the Imam, who asks us to collect the 4 relics in enemy hands. Now we make our move on the Moorish villagers. Constant sounds of Woolaloo bring them to Christianity, thus to our side. Then, after researching redemption, we convert the Imam's buildings. I have a feeling that this house here has a prime lakefront view. We then build another forward castle to drive Orange off his only source of gold and to ruin Green's farming economy, along with building a TC of our own to secure a large quarry of stone in the east. As soon as the castle is completed, we train a few petards to deal with Green's town center. Don't worry guys, those petards are trained magicians. So long as they reach their target, it doesn't count as a death and they vanish into thin air. Our army has been moved to the north to anticipate Orange's attack that you see on screen. Lucky for us, the cavalry escort that was supposed to watch over his rams fell to our castle fire earlier. Unguarded siege goes down easily. Once we've dealt with that, we use El Cid's high HP and our magician's wonderful displays of fireworks to destroy the 4 towers guarding the bridge. Now that these have been cleared, we may wall in a few more places to have 3/4 of the map to ourselves. This control, we may begin a safe trade route with Cyan's market on the other side of the map, allowing us a quick source of infinite gold. With some well-aimed shots from a conquistador, Green's monk in Orange's cage dies, conveniently hurdling the relic he was holding over the palisades, allowing our monk to pick it up and run back to the close monastery. 1 down, 3 to go. Lucky for us, the AI won't rebuild his production buildings, meaning once they're gone, they're gone. Taking advantage of the fact that we have redemption and the enemy has researched heresy, we are able to make their stables and such crumble by merely waving our arms and chanting, Woolaloo. Once we've destroyed all of the Orange production buildings in the city, save their castle to the east and their lone place of worship in the center of Toledo, we may now attack his monastery with our hero, since he cannot be converted and the only unit Orange can still build is monks. For an assault on Orange's castle. Since they have not yet installed murder holes in the fortifications of their castle, rams are fair game, and win that game they do. We use monks once again to clear the path towards the final relic. After we encounter a castle guarding it, we decide to build one of our own. We then use all the gold we've collected through our trade to purchase even more stone. If it's a castle war they want, then that's what we'll give them. We then bring up the rams from before to bring the last thing in our way on the path to gathering all 4 relics down, once and for all. Once the castle has fallen to the ground, we send in monks from a nearby ship to pick up the final relic. After the monk has landed on solid ground, we ungarrison the other 3 from a close-by church to head towards the island. As we sail towards the island, things seem to be a little bit too quiet. Ignoring the strange feeling, we land to begin to deliver the relics. Suddenly, a Moorish sailor shouts out. Where are he and his ships, though? Still stuck outside the map, of course. Using the trick we saw in T-West's video, we are able to block the enemy galleons from even spawning. After the Imam gives a few speeches and rants on and on, we are victorious. A slower, but still easy scenario to beat with no deaths. Now we hop into Mission 3 of this campaign, the Exile of the Cid. Uh-oh, I don't like the sound of that. For good reason. Not only are we cast from King Alfonso's service, but in fact, kicked from our entire nation, meaning that instead of playing as the Spanish, we'll be the Saracens this time round. With a start resembling that of the first mission, we ride out. King Alfonso gives a little speech, but we don't really care to stop and listen. After meeting 3 friendly knights and 6 helpful pikemen, we grab our Cid to lead the army. We ride ahead, till we are ambushed in a mountain pass. Thankfully, we win a decisive victory. The AI never learns. From here, we finish the last swordsman and move on until a group of camels join us. From this point, we are supposed to go to Matamata the Moor's city. Way better than a well, if you ask me. Sadly, there is a large obstacle in the shape of King Alfonso's castle standing between us and the settlement behind it. Should we continue ahead for a short while, we are given a small base with a few resources to destroy the castle. As soon as we arrive, we queue up a few Saracen crossbowmen, since they will prove useful in our journey to Zargawa. Then we send our Cid to scout to the north to look for another path through. We are warned of how this northern way may be too dangerous, but we're immortals, so no need to worry about anything. I'm pretty sure we're doing more damage to King Alfonso by destroying 2 castles and a gatehouse anyways. We let our siege do all the work while it remains guarded by our army made heavily out of counter units. Once the walls are down, we throw our Cid onto the breach once more until he is chased out by a group of pikes. Thankfully, our crossbows just showed up. With a small amount of micro, we deal with the pikes easily. Now we really get the bang for our buck when we get to deal with another large set of fortifications, filled with a gatehouse, castle, 2 towers, and the odd swordsman. Paired to King Alfonso's castle in the south, this is a real deal. Once we are through this blockade, we arrive to Zargawa. Luckily, the trigger that is intended to give us some extra units and to set Berengar's army on us is activated when we enter the southern portion of the city. Since we came from the north, we ambush the besieging army from the unexpected rear. They try to fight back, but their doubt-like mangonel shots are only hurting themselves. The moment we are finished with this army, we send our crossbows to go harass Berengar some more, and our Cid on over to go say hi to our friend Motammed. But he's nowhere to be found. Perhaps he's at a well again. These free units and villagers are, though. We go to build our small eco outside the city walls to the northwest. After this, the city of Zargawa asks us 2 tasks. 1, to rid them of the Franks to the top of the map, and 2, to increase their property value in the settlement by destroying King Alfonso's castle to the south. We deal with the second quest easily, then continue the first by dropping a castle onto Berengar's face. After a short while, the castle comes up, and we are forced to use our loyal leader once again to lure Pink's army straight into the 11th century equivalent of a heavy machine gun, aka our castle with a full garrison of crossbows. Once the army is dealt with, a large group of unguarded rams sally out. But where are the escort? Laying in the mud 100 feet from our castle, thankfully. The cavalry cleans this unguarded siege up without a drop of sweat. Once the rams have been cleaned, our crossbows must be the ones to sally out, saving our castle from being another sacrifice to the Lord Doubt. Our crossbowmen's arrows tear through the heavy-hitting knights, and then onto the rams until the castle rises to the skies and beyond. We reset up our machine gun by repairing the completed castle enough to give our crossbows somewhere to sit. With the covering fire, we can bring up a trebuchet to destroy Berengar's last defense to our Saracen troops. We then mine pink stone right in front of their faces while they are powerless to stop it. Once Pink's town center and monastery go down, Berengar is forced to call the GG, giving us another victory as an immortal with once again no deaths. A rather easy mission to complete, as Berengar only has one of each production building and relies on his relics for most of his eco. Now we head to mission 4 of our campaign, by the name of the Black Guards. In this mission, we start being led by a knight to go save King Alfonso, with a small, not completely useless army that will leave most of here for a second to keep them safe. We then chase after the knight with our Cid to save the king. We arrive to witness a huge battle ongoing. Hurry away, lest we be caught in the crossfire. Sadly, our allies aren't immortal, meaning we are forced to leave them to die. We arrive to a small mountain base, where we immediately begin to train a large amount of villagers to get our eco up and running. We then head on over to a nearby mosque to speak with the monks and refugees living there alike. They seem to have lost their vision, as it takes them a good while to realize they're speaking to the Cid, not some common foot soldier. Once they do, they beg and grovel to learn the secrets of immortality. We allow them to, but for a price. They must teach us all they know, and in return we will convert the mosque, bringing them to our side, thus making them immortal. Now that the coast is clear, we run our small army home and use the Cid with a few conquistadors to take down a bothersome tower, allowing us access to a large quarry of stone. We then send a monk towards the mosque and research redemption. After he has converted it, should we leave a monk there, where he may not be harmed, every few minutes we will be granted a new tech from the monastery for free, saving us thousands in the gold department. Now we make grabs on resources around the map with a multiple TC boom. The best defense is a good offense, so we drop a castle on Yellow to pin him down for a while. Our goal in this scenario is to destroy the 6 docks throughout the area. To do this, we must get onto water. Only ways to get to water are through an enemy base, and since we can access 4 of the 6 docks from land within Yellow's walls, we will take them first. Using Elsa Disco, we see that Yellow is Trebs, and we do not. Then, suddenly, a feeling of dread sets in. Yellow is already in the Imperial Age, and we are still stuck in Castle. We immediately queue imp up and prepare for hit-and-run strikes on the Trebs with our Cid and Petards. We are then forced to make a small army of pikemen back at home to deal with the Green Force. Turning to the castle, we see how low it is and task villagers to repair it and our own Trebs as we engage in a major conflict. After a close call with the Cid, we are forced to go all in with the battle. Go big or go home, I guess. Thankfully, we continue to build Trebs until we have enough to deal with all of Yellow's, and even push onwards to destroy the only castle in their arsenal. Once it's done, we begin to safely wall all of our troops in to prevent ourselves from any losses. Once all of that is done, we replace Yellow's gates with our own, making it so that we are able to snipe the majority of his production buildings from outside his walls. We've now managed to turn his walls into ours, as he is penned in as we slowly approach, with a small force guarding a group of villagers, who continue to dash in, quick-wall themselves to safety, and then build a castle. Inch by inch, we move in until Yellow has no means to escape or produce any more units. We then send in a few siege with a small escort consisting of, but not limited to, a few conquistadors and El Cid to rid the city of any remaining enemies. After using Trebs from the shore within Yellow's walls and speedy demo ships on the water, we are able to destroy 4 docks and all of the Blackguard's transports. We then prepare for a final assault of demo ships. A final firework display to destroy the last 2 docks. Using 4 demo ships on the first, and then amassing 10 to deal with the last, things go smoothly. Remember, these guys are trained in what they do, and so long as they make the target, all is fine. After a small rant from our leader, King Alfonso, the AIs resign, and we are victorious once more with yet again no deaths. This is easy once we figured it out, and we definitely have to target Yellow. In Mission 5, King of Valencia, King Alfonso banishes us again. Thankfully, the majority of Spain was with us on this one, so we're the Spanish again. We start with our lone hero, El Cid, yet again. Isn't this starting to get old, guys? Ha! Fooled you. AoE 2 campaigns will never get old. We run ahead until we arrive in the small town by the name of Denia. As soon as we arrive, we are told to defend Denia. First, we move all of our units and villagers outside the town. Then, with the small amount of gold we begin with, we train some monks and prepare for the assault. Knights begin to pour into the settlement while our monks chant their cries to the Lord. Sometime during the battle we are told to retreat. Sadly, we miss it over the monks' loud chanting. After converting 4 of the 5 knights, we turn on the last and tear through the siege to make sure it won't follow us. Finally, abandoning the town, we cross a bridge where a few more knights join us. Then we begin to explore the area within Lerida until we are joined by some fishermen and their camel guards. We are then supposed to make our way to the walled city of Valencia, but it's guarded by an army outside the walls. We'll leave everyone here on the piers other than the Cid, who will make a dash inside with his high health. As soon as we arrive, we're given control of everything but the wonder to the north, which has 2 allied villagers working on it. Our goal? To protect the villagers and get the wonder up while fending off constant attacks from Berenger's Imperial Age army. First, we must return to our army to save them. In a mission similar to Dunkirk, we send transports to save the stranded units from the near certain death. After this, we build a castle to defend the wonder, then make another pass with our ships to save the soldiers' lives. Then, we use El Cid to scout. We are able to discover a monastery with 2 missionaries who seem nice enough, so we allowed them to join our party. One final ship rescue and everyone is home sweet home. Things get close for a short while, where we were forced to use real units and even re-heal one of the wonder constructors after them being wounded. As soon as the attack relents though, we would re-wall and reconstruct time after time again, till finally the wonder is constructed and the GG is called. A short but extremely hard scenario to beat. Thankfully, if we just waited long enough during the attacks, we could flank the siege with the Cid and a few converted paladins, making it so that the enemy could only throw units against our walls while the castle fire chewed them up. And lastly, to conclude our campaign, we move on to Mission 6, Reconquista. Suddenly, the unthinkable happens. El Cid is declared dead. But how? Is he not an immortal such as ourselves? There is only one reasonable explanation. Our doctors are wrong, and he is still alive. It must only be a flesh wound. Anyways, I'm sure with our knowledge of 11th century medicine, he'll be back on his feet in no time. In this match, Cyan has accidentally clicked Team 2 instead of 1, so we'll be up against 3 enemies without any allies. We have Green to the east, who will build a large navy and attempt landings upon us. Yellow to the south, whose main army composition will be camels and siege. He won't attack us until he's boomed up, which gives us time to deal with the final enemy. The Blackguard army trains fully upgraded Imperial Age units from his source of infinite resources, so we have to take him down, immediately. We start in the Imperial Age with a small army. Hey, look, there's El Cid. He seems to be just fine. Told you that Mercury would do the trick. After training a single trebuchet, we land 1 hit on Cyan's castle, and then repack and begin to dash away. Cyan has already started to unpack all of his trebs in an effort to destroy our single one. Thanks to this, they are now vulnerable to the fully garrisoned siege rams we just sent out to deal with them. With a few hits, Cyan's trebs are a threat no more, and we begin to take out their castle. This whole time, we've had villagers mining stone, and we can now afford a castle of our own. So we put that right beside Yellow's gold mines to force him into trash units that should fall to our gold-intensive units easily. Green begins to land units outside the walls of Valencia, but we have no time or way to deal with them at the moment. We build a second castle on the Blackguard's Navy's final gold mine, and then bring up a treb to a safe firing position within the range of Yellow's town center. Their AI script is heavily focused on cavalry, so we'll need to take out those stables somehow. A small group of trained petards do the trick, bringing the building's HP to a low 300. We are forced to finish the stable with a charge of cavaliers. After destroying it, we then retreat to the castle as we are chased away by enemy camels. After calling in the services of 007's ancestor, we assassinate the last unit within Cyan's arsenal, causing him to be defeated. Only 2 left. Then, in a sneaky maneuver, we are able to wall a trebuchet in right by the last of the Blackguard's Navy's production buildings. Once the castle and Yellow stables are destroyed, we are able to send in the fully healed high pierce armor cavaliers to destroy the docks and galleons protecting them. A good way to destroy these ships without putting vulnerable boats of our own out on the high seas, all while getting the Out of Your Element achievement. While we were attacking Yellow, we were very, very cautious to keep his market intact, and as soon as they resigned, we switched them to Ally and repair the market back to full HP. We then head to the markets of our own up in the north and begin a massive trade route of likes never seen before. Once that's been done for a while, we'll use all of our gold for 2 things. 1, to buy enough stone to fully fortify our coastline from Yusuf and his troops, and then 2, to purchase spies, allowing us to see where Yusuf's men are and where they'll strike. Green's coastline is also very fortified, and if we wish to go on water, we'll have to do it in mass. That way we can destroy everything before it even gets a hit off. Taking advantage of the Spanish civ bonuses, we amass a fleet of 40-some cannon galleons. This allows us to destroy those pesky fortified towers with ease and then move on to the castles on Green Shore. Once all the fortifications are gone, we remove Yusuf's docks, making the sea our private backyard pool. I mean, way better than a beach if you ask me. Then we return to our mainland to gather the old army of ours that's been sitting on the edge of the map while a bombardment begins on Yusuf and his troops. We clear an area out with our cannon galleons and begin to land paladins and villagers alike to secure the position. While Green appears powerless, we must be careful, as a cornered animal is most dangerous. We construct some minor defenses in the area while making hidden runs with paladins to lead the enemy troops straight into our kill box. After a good strike with our units, we are able to bring Yusuf's military down, if not for a moment, but still to 0. In these 30 seconds, villagers are able to make mad dashes across Green's base and begin to build forward castle after forward castle. As Yusuf's town center crumbles, we are dubbed victorious one last time with yet again no deaths. I'd like to thank you all for watching, as this has been a crazy journey and I really hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what campaign you'd like to see next down in the comments, since we still have so many to get through, and subscribe so you won't miss it. I've recently created a Discord server, so if you guys would like to join and speak with me, the link for that, along with T-West channel, will be in the description. Encore Performance, out.